Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Art and Recap. Well, it's not really a recap to be honest because I am not recapping this show. What we're going to be going through right now is the One Piece live action show, the season 2 one, because I am so excited. I was looking forward to this show for ages, man. I really enjoyed One Piece season 1, the live action one. And before you ask, yes, I do watch One Piece. I have watched it for a while now. I am trying to catch up to it. I'm still stuck at the one arc. It's a long arc, guys. I know that it's the crew, the Straw Hats are already at, I think, Elbaf. They already finished the Eggman. I think that's what it's called, the Eggman arc. But yeah, so it's going to take me ages to catch up to that. I know I should be watching One Piece once a day at least, and I should be able to catch up in like a year or two maybe. Anyway, I am going to be reviewing the season 2 show that just dropped a couple days ago. The reason I'm not reacting is because first and foremost, I really locked in when I watched it, okay? I was quiet. Of course, I would like throw in some words here and there, like my thoughts and stuff like that, but otherwise I was really quiet. I was just shh, focused. Exactly. So I was locked in. And I was like, you know what? I can't make a reaction video out of this if I'm just, not reacting. So I'm just gonna do a quick review of my thought process that happened every episode. Let's just say it like that. Or something. I don't know how to do this. I've never actually done a review video like this before, but I will definitely try my best to keep you guys entertained. Also, you guys probably heard my dog barking in the background right now. He is calling for me to take him on a walk, so I'll be right back. Okay, first and foremost, I wanted to talk about the fashion in this show. It's so good. The character casting, absolutely amazing. They all look whoa, especially Mr. Valentine. I love her outfits, and also Mr. Five. Here's the thing: when I first saw Mr. Five, I was like, God damn, that fit, that aura, that is Wisdom Kaye. That's if you know, you know, because the outfit, the whole aesthetic and stuff like that, it's just giving wisdom. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh, this is going to be so good. I think the casting for the characters are absolutely amazing. I know there's like some people that didn't like the fact that Vivi is an Indian woman because Nefertari Vivi is first and foremost white in the anime and in the manga. And also she is technically Middle Eastern instead of South Asian, right? So I understand the beef people have with that, but at the same time, what can we do? Oda chose her for some reason. I saw somewhere in an interview that says that he doesn't really check for, the skin tones and whatnot of the characters. He searches for what embodies that character and if it matches his character. And I trust his gut, and I think the actress of Vivi actually did really well in embodying her. However, as much as I glaze the actors and actresses here and how perfect they are as the characters that they embody, there is one character that made me raise my eyebrows when I saw her on screen. Mind you, when I was looking forward to the second season, I actually made sure to skip everything about One Piece information that is coming on my social media. Like every time I saw something related to the live action, skip, scroll away, scroll away. I don't want to see it. I don't want to know who is acting who and how they will look like in the show. Okay, let me be surprised. That's what I wanted. So when I first saw Miss Golden Week, I was like, she looks a little bit too old to be playing Miss Golden Week. Okay, I don't want to sound ageist, but I feel like she could have been casted as someone else. It's just when I think of Miss Golden Week, I think of a younger actress. Because in the manga, Miss Golden Week is like 16. So maybe she doesn't necessarily have to be 16 years old to be casted as Miss Golden Week. Maybe just someone that has more of a baby fat on their cheeks so that they can feel more childlike. That's the only criticism I have about the casting choice, okay? When I saw the actor for Smoker, I was like, damn. Damn! Anyway, I was actually talking about the fashion choices of the characters in One Piece. And here's what I want to say is, first and foremost, I recognized several outfits that Nami was wearing, and I was like, "Oh my god, iconic outfit. I recognize that skirt. Iconic jacket. I recognize that jacket." And yeah, it's just really really nice to be, to still have those elements in the character and for fans to actually recognize them. And also, one thing that I realized is that the Straw Hats, compared to everybody in the world, is very much underdressed. Like here, okay, let me explain it to you guys. In the manga and in the anime, it feels like we don't really see much of the NPCs, like the civilians and stuff like that. And when we do, they are more often than not dressed like bland and normally, right? But in the One Piece live action show, we actually walked through the crowd of Logtown, and I noticed that a lot of these NPCs, they are fucking weird. Like the way they dress is weird, but it's in line with One Piece. It's like they are part of the world. They are odd, but that's it. That's normal. That's One Piece. Their fashion choices is very out there, right? And I was thinking, because I was thinking to myself, for assassins, Miss Wednesday and the Baroque works, they do dress a little bit crazy. But then I realized, like, something in my mind went ping. Faye, look at the crowd. They fucking blend in the crowd because of the way they dress. So I was like, oh my god, Faye, you are right. Brilliant. And it made me realize the Straw Hats are the ones that are very much odd in the way they dress because of how underdressed they are compared to the other characters. So I'm like, damn, okay. Especially before Nami went shopping. Also, I realized that when they were like in the ship after Logtown, they were talking to each other. They had like a group meeting, and Luffy Iñaki was the only one with still wearing the red vest. And I was thinking to myself, oh, I sure hope he also gets a costume change, because the others change into different clothes during that scene. And I was like, God damn, does Luffy actually have any clothes on board? Because I was thinking, okay, Nami probably would have bought some clothes for him if he didn't, because it also kind of feels in line with Luffy to not have any change of clothes with him. Because if I remember correctly, in one of the infos in the manga, it says that he actually doesn't bathe that often either. So yeah, it's very much in character. But the very next episode, when they were at, I think it was Little Garden, we actually find him with a change of clothes, and I'm like, oh hell yeah, okay, that looks really good on him. I also really like the small little details that they added to the characters, like the banters that they throw at each other here and there. It's very very refreshing, and also reminds me so much of pre-time skip One Piece. I also really like that scene of Smoker giving this little girl who bumped into him with her ice cream money so that she can buy herself more, instead of yelling at her. It's giving Gordon Ramsay. He gave me Gordon Ramsay energy, because if you know, I've seen clips of Gordon Ramsay. Whenever he's talking to like children that are cooking, he's very nice, sweet, and gentle to them. But if it's an adult, then the dragon comes out, basically. Let's just call it like that. I remember that meme, the "what are you? I'm an idiot sandwich," that meme. Yeah, it's giving that basically for Captain Smoker. What also surprised me in the first episode is the fact that we get introduced to Bartholomew already, and I was like, wait, right now already in the first episode of season 2? Because we don't even know about this guy until fuck, where was that? You know, the one with Rebecca, I forgot which arc that was. The one with the gladiators. Yeah, that one. So I was like really surprised, but at the same time I was thinking, you know what, this actually makes sense. Because if I remember correctly, based on the anime and manga, Bartholomew actually found out about Luffy and became his stan in Logtown. Like, he found out about him in Logtown. So yeah, it makes sense, right? I think the only difference that they made is the fact that Bartholomew interacted with Luffy, because he never really did that in the manga or anime as far as I can remember. And also there was Buggy, and there was this screenshot that I found on TikTok, well, no, Twitter, that says, "Oh my god, this is like Luffy's biggest hater and his biggest fan meeting." And I was like, "Oh my god, that is so true." Also, the glimpse of Sabo at the end of the episode really surprised me, because I was like, "Sabo, is that you?" Okay, so episode 2 is actually the episode about Laboon. And in case you're asking, yes, I did tear up when I saw a CGI whale, a small CGI whale, tearing up and looking sadly as his crew goes away, because they wanted to keep him safe, because the Grand Line is very dangerous for a baby whale like him. And yes, yes, One Piece makes me emotional, okay? This is not the first time I cried because of One Piece, and it is not the last. That is for sure. You know, the scene that I'm looking forward to the most is not in this season. It's a Robin's arc. If you know, you know. But goddamn, when I watched the anime of that scene, that certain scene, if you know, you know, I bawled my eyes out. I was like, oh, like, there was a bunch of tissues next to me, and I was just dabbing my tears away every single second. One Piece is very good at storytelling. I have to give Oda and the anime creators that they're very good at making people feel emotionally invested in the characters. And yes, it did make me feel emotionally invested towards a whale and also a ship in the future. If you know, you know. Um Okay, one thing that I want to mention in this episode is that the marine arc, okay? The side of the marines that we're seeing, we actually saw how Tashigi and Kobe and also Helmepo met each other, and how, you know, Garp and Captain Smoker went off in a meeting so that those three can bond, basically. And when I saw them all together in the screen, on screen, all three of them, I was like, wow, they look like a nerd squad. I know I sound mean, but I can't help it. They look like a nerd squad, and there's nothing wrong with that, because you know what? They had a fucking glow up in the anime. They're going to glow up so beautifully, and I am looking forward to that in the future seasons. And you know what? Netflix will be so fucking stupid if they don't continue this show, the live action, because they are doing really fucking well with all of this. Like, the CGI is not bad, the whimsy, the character designs, the character castings, everything, the acting is also really good. So, and also the fight scenes, actually I really like the fight scenes and the fight choreography. I think they are doing really well with all of that. So Netflix, they are going to be shooting themselves on the foot if they don't, you know, continue with this show until at least, let's say, Ennis arc or the Marineford arc. Oh goddamn, that needs to happen. I don't want to be the only one traumatized about that certain scene, you know. I need the new One Piece fans to also experience that trauma. If you know, you know, you know. So anyway, what I find interesting, aside from, you know, the nerd squad, is the fact that how the story presents the idea of Goldie Roger having a son, and how that the story is kind of like hinting that Luffy might be his son, right? Because it's so cliche for the protagonist to be the son of the king of the pirates. You would think that that's like a basic thing, the most basic thing that you would ever do. But as we all know, um, that is not really the case, right? So that might be a spoiler for some people who have never actually watched One Piece. In that case, I'm very much sorry, but One Piece has been around for ages, so eh, I'm shrugging here right now. I'm trying my best, guys. I'm trying my very best not to give you any spoilers, but it's hard. Okay, it's hard, but I'm trying. Okay, one of my favorite scenes in this episode is actually Zoro being kind of stupid. So here's the thing, in the previous season, it felt like Zoro was a little bit too serious. He's not that jokey compared to what he is now, which is more in line to his anime and manga counterpart, because Zoro is actually a very funny character. Like, his sense of humor is kind of dry, but it's there. And he does do a bunch of stupid stuff too, which is why he's friends with Luffy, okay? So I'm very, very happy that they actually gave him this sense of humor back. Or, well, his sense of humor is him being serious about everything, but he's kind of stupid with the fact that he kind of doesn't understand that the shit he's saying is very out there.
So I'll use this to poke that big punching bag looking thing on the roof of his mouth.
The uvula?
So it's a girl whale.
Anyway, let's move on to Whiskey Peak, okay? So in Whiskey Peak, I actually forgot about Whiskey Peak because it's been ages since I've watched One Piece. I was like a little bit confused, especially when we were actually introduced in the previous episode with Mr. Nine and Vivi. Because I remember Vivi, and I also remember that there was a baroque work that she was very close with that has, the curly hair, which turns out to be Igaram, and he was Mr. 8, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so I remember that they have some sort of close relationships together and that they are connected to Alabasta. But I forgot that Mr. Nine existed and that Mr. Nine was actually Vivi's, Miss Wednesday's original partner. So I was thinking, wait, who is Mr. Nine? Is that a new character? But no, I'm just very forgetful. It's been ages since I watched the first episodes, of One Piece. Okay, and yeah, so I was pleasantly surprised when he popped up. But I was like, whoa, this guy. His eyes are so expressive. He looks like he's about to cry all the goddamn time. I'm sorry, I'm saying it right now. But he did act really well, and I love his character design. So anyway, moving on, we get to Whiskey Peak, and then we see all these nuns, right? And Nami basically scamming the nun with, the drinking game. And here's the thing, I was thinking, you know what? I do wonder what the Christians will be thinking about all of this, because they have a nun here that also, tried to kill Zoro. Yeah. So anyway, Zoro fought like 100 people, and I actually saw a clip of Makenyu. He accidentally hit the camera when he was fighting. He was so in the zone, and I was thinking, oh my god, that would have been such a cool transition, to be honest. But I don't think they kept it in the actual show. But that was like a funny tidbit that I found out on social media while I was, preparing to record this. I don't think there's a lot of things to talk about this episode, except for the fact that I really, really appreciate the fighting scene. Like, I can tell that Makenyo really put his all in it, because the choreography and also like everything, like the whole fight, actually, it was just very, very good. Like, you can tell that the actors that they trained to, do their best and make the movements fluid whenever they're fighting, and I really, really appreciate that. Oh wait, I am going to say something real quick. I am so happy that Luffy actually got a change of clothes, because again, I mentioned before that his clothes were very tattered, and I found this small info about the One Piece crew, and that's the fact that the clothes that they're wearing are also based on Oda's designs from his art book, I think. And I really appreciate that, because I was thinking, I've seen this this clothes before on Yuffie. I just don't know where. And apparently it's because it's like an old design of Oda's from an art book or something. Also, I might ruin this for some of you guys, but I it's just living rent free in my brain and I need to share it with you guys. But I found a tweet on Twitter that shows Sanji walking around Whiskey Peak with the others, right? And somebody says, "Why does he look like a German dad on vacation?" And when I saw that, I was like, holy shit. It's so true. It's so true. And now it's living rent free in my brain. I'm so sorry, Sanji fans. I'm so sorry. But if I have to suffer through this knowledge, you have to suffer too, okay? Okay, so I was talking about Zoro fighting earlier, right? I forgot to mention this and I really need to share it with you guys. But when I was watching that fight scene, I kept thinking to myself, God damn, I wish that was me. To be beat up by Zoro. Like imagine you're the extra on One Piece that gets beat up by Zoro. You can go towards your friends or whoever, go to a convention and be like, oh yeah, I got beat up by Zoro. That is such a flex. I feel like like yeah, he dragged my face across a bar full of glass. Like goddamn. I wish that were me. Okay, and then we are now at Little Garden. And Little Garden is like such a good art. It has so many future references here. Like they mentioned Nika, and I was like, oh my god, Nika mentioned. And yeah, I know I'm still at the Wano arc, guys, in the anime. I'm still at the Wano arc, but I'm not living under a rock. I've seen a couple spoilers here and there about Gear 5, and I'm not gonna mention anything more for the live action only watchers, but whenever you guys hear Nika, pay attention, okay? Pay attention. Okay, so what I really like about Little Garden is the soundtrack, especially the track that plays at the end credits. Also, guys, the end credit for Netflix is like 5 whole freaking minutes long. That is so long. I always thought that maybe there's an extra at the end of it that will preview us, so I always wait. But no, it's always just the credit. Okay. So anyway, I really like the soundtrack of Little Garden the most. It's my favorite so far in the whole second season. And also, I like the changes that they actually did in Little Garden to make it make sense, because they took out a bunch of things in the storyline to make it flow easier. And I know a lot of fans will be saying like, oh my god, this is like bullshit, why did they take this and that, and why did this scene not make it, yada yada yada. But guys, they have a set schedule. They only have certain amounts of episodes to work with, okay? And Little Garden, it actually is like a 2-episode deal, which I think works because it really is like a nice pacing instead of, having Little Garden only be 1 episode like Whiskey Peak. I and also the Laboon arc. I thought it makes sense because again, it was such a huge arc. Well, not arc, but you know what I mean. It's like it will leave a huge impact on the show and in the future, which makes sense for Little Garden to be a 2-episode deal, right? Anyway, I am a little bit disappointed that they changed the reasoning of Zoro doing the iconic pose of him, becoming a wax figure, because in the live action he's like doing it to spite Mr. Tree, but in the anime and manga he actually did that because he thought he wanted to die in a cool pose. He's so stupid. I love him.
まずいなこりゃ本当に早いポーズ決めといてよかったぜ
Anyway, Usopp pretty much saves the day here. And you know what? When I was watching Usopp get beat up by Miss Valentine with like 100 kilograms worth of punch, I was thinking to myself, God damn, Usopp has a skull made of haki. Like, I was like, damn, he is tanking that. Like, really tanking that. How is he still not dead? Miss Valentine probably is thinking the same thing. Like, what the fuck is going on with this guy's skull? Why is it so hard? Because, again, she broke, like, the candle wax that he was on broke, and she was punching his head. So I was like, god damn, Usopp, did does Usopp has armament haki and he actually just use it on his brain or on his head, like unknowingly, naturally? Like, is that possible? Okay, there is actually one thing that I didn't like in Little Garden, and that is when Usopp lit Zoro's swords on fire. Like, when I saw that, I was like, damn, that's some really bad CGI fire right there. And I was thinking, oh my god, hopefully they improve that, because I cannot for the life of me imagine Ace, like introducing Ace with shitty CGI fire. Like, no. The fans will riot. Ace is such an iconic fan favorite. And yes, I will also riot, because even though Ace is not really my favorite character, I really like Luffy. Luffy is my favorite character. Which is rare. I don't usually like the main character of a show, because more often than not, I think they can be very annoying as hell. So the fact that Luffy, when I started watching One Piece, the fact that he grew on me, like I really started to adore him, like his beliefs and his fighting style and how goofy he is. I really love that about him. Favorite MC out there for sure. So when when that thing at Marineford happened and he was devastated, I felt that. I empathized with that. I cried with him, because it was so heartbreaking to see someone who's usually so cheerful break down like that. I was like, oh, Pookie, no! Ah! And you guys know, I'm actually seeing a lot of people commenting about Inyaki's acting and how they find Luffy annoying. Oh my god, I am so sorry, guys. I am pronouncing Luffy sometimes as Luffy on accident, because one of my guild members in Where Winds Meet, his name is Luffy, and it sometimes just slips. Okay, I am so sorry. And Luffy, if you're watching this, hi, drop a comment, bro, and also a like. I am expecting that of you. Anyway. Back to Iñaki, I actually think his acting is fine. Like, Luffy is an annoying little shit in the manga and the anime, and he does yell a lot, and that's fine. That's his thing. And I think Iñaki is actually embodying Luffy really, really well, okay? Apropos Luffy, he was actually fighting Mr. 3, and when he was fighting Mr. 3 in the forest with all of those wax figures of Mr. 3, I had a war flashback. A war flashback from when I was a teenager messing around with Photoshop, and I would copy and paste a picture of my little sister. Like, we did a whole photo shooting. I had her pose in like different areas in the playground, and I photoshopped everything together. And it gave me war flashback to that. I was like, oh damn, oh no, please get out of my brain. Okay, so we move on from Little Garden over to Drum Island, and they are actually going to Drum Island because Nami got sick, and Drum Island happened to be the island that was the closest to them right now, and they needed the doctors, and they're lucky that Drum Island is very well known for their doctors. But they are unlucky in the fact that there's only one doctor left on Drum Island, and she is on top of the highest mountain at the palace, because their king Wapol, he took all of the doctors and fled, because apparently Blackbeard was occupying that island, and he, just ran away. And, I was thinking, wait, was this actually the same that happened in the original? Because I don't remember. Again, guys, it's been ages since I watched One Piece. And I don't remember if Blackbeard actually ever occupied Drum Island. Because I remember that Blackbeard was introduced during the Java arc where he was arguing with Luffy about the cherry pies. Like, I remember that vividly, but I don't remember him occupying Drum Island. What's wrong with my brain? We actually got a glimpse of Marjorie and the Reverie in this episode. And, I'm actually writing notes while I watch, like on the side, but most often than not, I kind of get locked in and forget to take notes, right? But one of my notes when I was watching is like, it's it's that Abraham Lincoln from one of the leaders, because I was like, God damn, that is him, right? Like the leaders in One Piece are so funny. And then there's also Vivi's dad that got introduced there. And the note that I have there was like, damn, Vivi's dad is hot. Anyways, the Straw Hat split with Sanji, Luffy, and Nami going to climb up the mountain on their own while the rest stay in the village so that they can, protect it, whatever. Just wait there. And yeah, so the other team, Team Nami and Luffy and Sanji, they go up the mountain to meet Kureha. And oh my god, the choice of actress for Kureha. God damn, she is perfect. Perfection. Okay, I was like, whoa, holy shit. It's like she just stepped out of the anime, like, whoop, like crazy. Damn. Also, we finally get introduced to Chopper, and oh my goodness, that is my son. Like the whole episode 7 that was like mostly Chopper, right? I keep writing, oh my god, little Chopper, Tony Chopper, oh my god, Chopper, my son. Like my note is just like, my son, Chopper is so cute. I'm so sad, Chopper. I'm just basically just like, oh my god, Chopper, you are so adorable. So what I really like in this episode is when Dr. Hiriluk, when he was introduced and he was like, making his food while Chopper was resting, he was whistling Chopper's song. Like Chopper, Tony, Chopper. It's so cute. I was like, oh my god, I recognize. I got that reference, Doctor. But yeah, it's so cute. And also very sad. I didn't know if I would cry in this arc because of Chopper, because Chopper's backstory is super sad. And when I watched the anime and watched, Chopper's backstory, I also cried. So I was like thinking, do I cry or do I not? And yes, I did cry. Actually, I cried a lot. And while I was crying and dabbing my tears with a tissue, this scene in Wapple's castle pops up, and I noticed the stupid fucking statues on the background, and I couldn't help but smile because of how dumb they are. I was like, God damn, okay. Begone tears, you are now smiling. Something that really bugged me in this episode is the fact that they didn't show that scene of Chopper begging Kureha to teach him to become a doctor while waving the flag of Dr. Hiriluk, because that was absolutely devastating in the anime. And you know what? I feel like that it makes sense that they couldn't show that because, again, there are some certain story beats that are different compared to like the anime. They had to change a couple of things, but I feel like they should have at least kept this scene in. I feel like Chopper's words here are so much more impactful to the storyline, and also the fact that he's waving Hiriluk's flags around like that, it just makes the flag more important, right? Especially in the later scenes, because in the anime, I remember that when they shot the cherry blossom powder into the air, they were actually flying his flag on top of the castle of Hiriluk. Of Wapple's castle. And I think that just gives much more impact to the story because flags are meant to fly. They are not even just meant to hang on walls. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that in the anime, Luffy was actually the one who hanged the flag to fly up in the castle. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong from because of that, or if I'm just hallucinating it. Okay, so episode 8, the last episode, is actually surprising to me because Sanji mentioned his mother and a lot of his backstories. And, you know, I think it makes sense for him to mention that to Nami and for us to actually feel more of his character. But at the same time, I was pleasantly surprised that they actually added that in because for a very, very long time in the anime, we don't really know much about Sanji except for the thing that happened with Zeph. That's his backstory. I'm not gonna talk anymore about that. I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut so that I don't spoil anything else. Okay. So, episode 8 happened. That was a little bit scary and creepy if you think about it because Wapol, that dude fucking cannibalized his own soldiers and then spat them out into monsters, and the soldiers apparently were so alright with it. And I was like, what the fuck? When I saw those monsters, they were like so fucking creepy. I was like, this can be in a horror movie. What the hell? Anyway, the crew left with Chopper and are now headed to Alabasta. And that is where the season ends. And you know what? I am glad it ended over there. Am I a little bit disappointed that we didn't get to see Alabasta and naturally we didn't get to see Ace? Yes, I am. But at the same time, I'm happy with the pacing that they set the show in because you know what? While I was watching and we were at episode 4, episode 4 is like a little garden, right? I was thinking to myself, wait a second, if this is already little garden, does this mean that we are only going to be getting one episode for little garden and one episode for Chopper's arc for Drum Island? Because the rest needs to squeeze in a lot of info about Alabasta, and Alabasta, it's like a huge, there's a lot of things going on in Alabasta is what I'm trying to say here. So I was thinking, is that what they're going to be doing here? Because based on like the previous episodes with Laboon and Whiskey Peak and the start of the episode, I thought that that was for sure what's going to happen. I mean, Logtown, not the start of the episode. Logtown. I was thinking that's for sure what's going to be happening, that they're going to have one island per episode. But I am actually glad that they paced it out a lot better with Little Garden having more time, and also Chopper's backstory taking a huge chunk of an episode, because Chopper deserves that. He has one of the saddest backstories in all of One Piece, and if we didn't get like the full experience of how he bonded with Dr. Hiriluk, then I don't think I would have cried as much as I did. Yeah, so I am actually happy with the pacing of this season. I felt like the pacing for the previous season was a little bit too fast in comparison. So this one here, the fact that they slowed down a little bit to explain more things and put, more information and references and stuff like that in the show, I think that really worked out well for them. And I applaud them for that. Clap, clap. One Piece has always had some dark aspect to it, but you don't really see it that often because of how bright and whimsical everything is. There's like some slavery going on here, racism. One Piece has a lot of political aspect to it, and also a lot of fighting, bloodshed, and stuff like that. It doesn't really register as something dark in the anime or in the manga whenever you read it, because of how goofy the Straw Hats are and how goofy some character designs and basically the comedy aspect of it. It just kind of flies off your head. But in the live action, even though they accepted the whimsical part of One Piece, the crazy part, and the colorful part, which I love, by the way, and they actually show the gruesome aspect to it, Zoro killing all those hundred of people, and the assassins, the Baroque works, they are terrifying. Seeing Robin's devil fruit, you kind of realize why the fuck she was called a devil child, because that's fucking terrifying. Something I also really appreciate and give kudos to the creators and directors and whoever worked on this is the lighting, especially when Roger and Garp were talking in the jail cell. The lighting there, you can actually see the characters and still realize that they're supposed to be in a dark environment. It's not just fucking shadows. I actually see people, you know? And I appreciate that because I feel like that's such a lost art form nowadays. Like, come on, why is everything so goddamn dark? Again, I really absolutely love how One Piece accepted the whimsical part of the show, of the story, because without that whimsy, if I've seen people actually talk about them wanting the live action to be darker, like, come on, it's One Piece we're talking about. The fuck? I would disagree. I actually like that they leaned more into this craziness, right? Because if you think about it, this is the reason why Netflix always fails whenever they try to adapt an anime into a live action, because they are not leaning into the whimsy. I am going to set an example with Winx. Okay? Winx has a live action version that is made by Netflix. And I think the reason that it failed is because they leaned away from the actual Winx. Winx is about magical fairies going to a magical school. They are colorful. They transform. They're magical girls. And they turned it into this dark story. And I was like, bruh, that's not Winx anymore. And you know what? I'm not even a Winx girly. I've always been a witch girly, and I feel for my cousins, the Winx fans. When they got this, I was like, oh, you poor things. Oh, I'm so sorry for you guys. So to the people who are saying they want to watch a darker version of One Piece, all I can say is, I don't think you're gonna get that, to be honest. If you want to watch a live action of an anime that's darker, I don't know, go watch Death Note. I also wanted to talk about the actors of the main cast. Like, I know I've talked about the others before, but I really do like the artistic liberties that the show is taking towards the characters. Like, yeah, at the beginning, at season 1, when I saw that Sanji didn't have his eyebrows swirl, I was a little bit perturbed. Also with Usopp, like, where did his long nose go? Why is it gone? At the same time, I understand why Usopp's actor wouldn't want the long nose all the goddamn time, because again, that would be a little bit annoying to have, probably, and would most likely affect his acting. Maybe, I don't know, but I was like, when I first watched One Piece and saw season 1, the live action, I mean, and saw Usopp's actor, I was like, this is Usopp? I don't know, man. He seems kind of too hot to be Usopp. He doesn't have that awkwardness to him. What the hell? And yeah, but it's totally fine. I feel like for Usopp, he is a very... How do I say this? He seems like a very charming young man. He... Like, Usopp... I don't know. He's giving more Usopp post time skip, you know, with the attractiveness, the muscles, and he doesn't look goofy with the outfits that Usopp is usually wearing in the anime and manga, because again, the actor is a very handsome man. And I'm also very happy that they toned down Sanji's simp energy. Like, he's still very flirty, but at the same time, he's not a total pervert, you know? And I love that, because Sanji has always given the energy of a gentleman. And I hate what happened to him in the anime, that he's become such a pervert. He's basically becoming Master Roshi. And I hate that for him, because again, Sanji is a gentleman. Nami's actress also, I think, did really well. I just think that she needs to show Nami's temper a little bit more, because Nami is a little bit temperamental. She does punch the Straw Hats a lot, and that is why everybody is terrified of her. But yeah, no, she doesn't have to abuse the others, but I feel like maybe let her, you know, show her anger a little bit more, or her annoyance a little bit more. I do love that they're keeping Nami and Usopp's best friendism together. That's something I adore, even in the anime and the manga. Those two are just such best friends. I love it. Anyways, I think that's all that I'm going to be saying about the acting. I don't really have anything else to say, to be honest, because I already shared my thoughts about Iñaki and Makenyu in the earlier parts of the video, like somewhere in the middle. I am looking forward to the third season, where we finally get to Alabasta and we are going to be meeting Ace, that's for sure, and I'm so excited for that. And again, he's not even my favorite character, but I'm just looking forward to him because Ace is hot. Oh, one second, I forgot to mention this, but the live action made me realize how many half-naked men there are actually in One Piece. You know, because a lot of the time people are focusing on the half-naked women, that they forget that there are a lot of half-naked men in One Piece too. I didn't realize that until, you know, that part where Luffy came running back to the hospital ward, the ward room that has Nami, and we see him half naked, and also Sanji with their abs showing, and I was just like, goddamn fan service! I am the fan being served here. Finally. And also when Makenyu, Zoro basically was just like, you know, topless in the snow. I'm just like, damn, okay, because in my brain I was like, oh, they showed Nami, and there was this one time where she was going back and forth in the cabin to get her jacket and stuff like that, because the weather at the Grand Line is absolutely crazy, and I'm betting that she was actually sunbathing at some point before, so she was with like a bathing suit top. She went inside and grabbed her jacket, and then went back inside when it started raining to get her raincoat and stuff like that, right? So I was thinking, okay, the men and the lesbians, you know, the bis, they are getting serviced, they are getting their fan service. And then the thing with, you know, Zoro flexing his muscles, and Sanji and Luffy happened, and I was like, oh, the girly pops are also getting served. Okay, nice. And that's when I realized, wait a fucking second. One Piece actually has a lot of half-naked men. Now that I look at this, I was like, oh, like one arc, Luffy is running around with, you know, like in the second arc of the story, Luffy is pretty much flexing his abs all the goddamn time. And Zoro is also at the one arc half naked most of the time. So I'm like, whew, crazy. So I'm like, how did I only realize that now? And now that I'm talking about it, I just realized that Ace is actually half naked most of the time. And I was like, oh my god, the internet is gonna explode once they find the actor for Ace. Oh shit. If this is the first time that you guys have watched One Piece, like you have no idea about the anime or the manga, I would highly recommend you guys to actually check those out. Like if the anime is too long for you, go read the manga. It's a great story, guys. Like the live action, for the way it is, consider the fact that it's a live action of an anime that is like really absolutely insane and crazy with all the effects and powers. Like you've seen the powers in this story, guys. They're insane. Right? So for a live action that adapted an anime that's like so out there, so ridiculously out there, it's doing really well. It did well, but I feel like it's not capturing the same humor as in the anime, which is totally fine, because the live action is kind of like a separate way of telling the story, right? But at the same time, if you watch the anime or read the manga, you will be so much more attached to the characters. One thing that I noticed that happened in the live action is that I feel like Luffy is not getting enough screen time. Like Iñaki, I like his acting. He really does embody Luffy. But if you watch the anime, you see how much shenanigans Luffy gets into, how close he is to his friends, and like especially there was this one episode I really remember it because he was basically chasing Chopper around, asking him to become part of his crew. Instead of listening to Kureha tell Chopper's backstory, he was running after him and asking him to be part of his crew, right? And also again that thing with the flag. I really don't remember if Luffy was the one who actually put it up there or if it was already flying in on the castle tower. But I really do remember that Luffy protected it because for him a pirate flag is very important. It's like a symbol of freedom for him, right? So yeah, the fact that Wapol shot at it, that pissed him the fuck off. Okay, so anyway, I'm that's all I'm gonna say. Watch the anime or read the manga. Super recommend. I know the anime is really daunting because it has over 1,000 episodes, but believe me, once you start catching up, you're going to be like, fuck, I need more One Piece. It's like a freaking drug, guys. Because this is the reason why I'm still at the Wano arc. Because I am letting it cook for years. And then I'm gonna binge watch it. And then once I'm done and I'm close to the end, I'll be like, oh no, I'm running out of One Piece. Seriously, guys, highly recommend. Anyways, was this a review or just me fangirling? The answer is yes. What do you guys think of this video? I'm planning to do a little bit more of this. I don't know if I'm gonna be doing animes or not, but I feel like I would prefer movies instead. But yeah, what do you guys think? Before I go, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. It helps my channel out a lot. My commissions are open and my Vision link is down in the description below. Check out my story Dreaming of Aurora if you have the time. And finally, thanks to my patrons, Robek, Vanarik, and Javalitska for the support. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!